In this video, I'm going to share with you how I helped my client book 19 appointments using GoHighLevel's AI booking bot and their automation suite. And I have a conversation here that I want to show you. This actually happened just this morning, and I would show you guys the account, but this is an actual real lead, and it's a potential deal for my client because of the automation that I'm going to walk you through. And if I go in the account, I have to edit it and stuff like that. So I did take screenshots, but this was literally this morning. It's 6 a.m. Pacific time. So I was not even awake. And this automation started qualifying my clients' leads. And this happens literally every single day. I've seen this happen hundreds, if not probably close to 1,000 or more times using GoHighLevel's automation. And what I'm going to walk you through is how this works for the clients that I help, but how you can do this for your own business or how you can do this for other businesses if you're like a digital marketer. So let me walk you through kind of how this works. So my client gets a lead, right, for their business. Now, my client is a real estate investor, and so they are looking for properties to buy at a discount. That's how their business makes money, is they buy these properties and then they remodel them and they fix them up and sell them at a profit. And so this client is generating leads, right? And so, most businesses, right, they don't have this type of system in place that will automatically text the lead as soon as they fill out a form, email them, and follow up with them. And so what GoHighLevel's system has allowed me to do for these clients is basically just automate their lead qualification and their lead follow-up and appointment booking just through their SMS bot. So the lead comes through the funnel, and basically, we send them over a text. So this is to the lead. And then we also have an email there, and you can see this was sent pretty much 4 minutes after. And then within 5 minutes, the lead has responded now. Okay. And then 5 minutes later, the AI bot responded. I actually looked, I had it set for 120 seconds, which is like 2 minutes. So there's a little delay and lag, but I fixed it to reply within 1 second now. So it's going to be right away. But either way, it still works. So they respond, right? And this is for somebody who needs to sell their home. And you can change this for any type of business. You can do this for any type of business. You can change the questions. All of this is just specifically for what I'm helping people with. But you can literally do this for any type of business. Plumbers, roofers, electricians, real estate agents, solar reps, anyone that really talks to customers via appointments is a great fit for this type of a bot, okay? So it starts asking the homeowner, why are they considering selling? She says she really doesn't want to tell us. She's fishing for prices. My neighbors are selling more acres, but a similar house for $300,000. And so she just starts communicating, right? And then the next question is the property currently listed? Okay. So part of this process would be done manually by the client, right? Seeing if it's listed, why they're selling, trying to see what number that they want to get for the house. So all of these things, right, regardless of how quality the lead is, it's all being done by the AI. So my client just wakes up and then basically sees all these conversations, and you can tailor it too, where like one of the things that I have is if the property is listed with an agent, then we don't let them book an appointment. And that can change, client by client. And like I said, that it's universal for any industry, right? So you could have a few questions that you come up with for the client or for your business. And if they don't meet that criteria, then they can't book an appointment, and you're not going to waste time on the calendar, right? Or you could just leave it open-ended. So there you can see she's responding, and then it's like, who are you with? And then the AI system knows. If you guys have watched my channel before, I name all of my AIs Jackie, so you could see Jackie jumps in there. And then basically, the conversation just continues, all happening on autopilot. Then The AI system says, what's your ideal asking price for the property? And then she says 67,000. And then we have the AI confirm the full address of the property. And she just basically starts, continuing to talk about the house, right? You'll see this with motivated sellers. They, are really kind of eager to sell and kind of talk about why they should get the price they want, whatever, right? This is somebody who's seriously interested in selling, right? And then we get the address, we get a little bit about the condition, only lived in there for 1 year. And then you can see here, I've been here for 9 years, blah, 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 blah. And then starts asking for the appointment now, okay? And all this is done via text inside of GoHighLevel's system as well, which is great. And then you can see here, it then starts to say, it has slots available, and then she confirms the appointment, and then the appointment is booked. And so all that happens on autopilot, and I want to show you a few other things I'm doing here with helping businesses like automate these types of processes just using high level. Now, before I show you that, I want to show you this. So I put an image here of just a stock image of a house because the real house, that I don't want people to know what that is. But basically, this house, right, that's behind this stock image, has a Zestimate of 123,000. Okay, so we got to get more details, but basically, this person is offering $67,000. Okay, that's what she's saying she wants, which is probably negotiable too. And Zestimate itself is saying 123,000, right? So I don't like to, say that, oh, this means that they're going to make all this money. But really what it comes down to with automation, whether you're solving these problems for your business or for clients and stuff like that, is understanding that the automation's job is really to just give you the opportunity for something to happen, right? That's really the job. You can't, expect that everything's going to go perfect and you're just going to get all these deals perfectly lined up. That's not how it works, right? So my job is to basically do this, right, for the client to show him, hey, like if you would have just had this lead and maybe you waited 10 minutes, 20 minutes to respond, or more realistically, if you weren't up at 6 a.m. and you woke up at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. or whatever, that person could have already been talking to somebody else. And I think she said, if not her, I had another lead that was going through the bot, same thing. And they're like, I'm sending my information to multiple people to try to get prices, right? So if you wait 4 hours, 5 hours, a day or two, which is not, it sounds crazy, but I used to have an agency before without high level. And so we would generate leads for people and we would get these leads. And then guess what? It just goes into the abyss and you don't even know what's going on. Here, we have a predictable conversion process for the client so that they're actually, responding to these leads right away and you can see what it can do. So more realistically, right, that this person's not going to respond for 6-7 hours and then they basically are trying to get all this information manually, and before you know it, they're already done, right? They're already moved on. So the way that it works too is like when people submit their information or they want to buy something or whatever, like they usually want to do it right then. And so if they were like filling out forms or doing different things, searching up businesses, whatever it was, then, if a day later, right, you're responding to them, they may be like, I already like talked to like 5 people and I'm going to pick one of them, right? So that's the power of the automation. We've now given this client an opportunity to actually, talk with this person and, they've got information about it and now they can actually see if it's a deal. Okay. So that's how this process works. And then this is something else I'm doing in high level. This is called trigger links. and basically you can put a link in your text and your emails and then track who clicks it. And then when people click it, you can actually do specific actions. So for example, we send these links to these, seller leads or something. If we want to see like if we're following up with them and we want to send them a link to book a call as an example, then we can see if they're opening the message and clicking on that. And then if they're clicking on it, we can do a condition where they clicked it but they didn't book. We can do a follow-up text right there. Hey, saw you clicked the link to book but you didn't book an appointment. Here it is again, or whatever, right? What questions you have. So all this stuff is really, really valuable, and it's super practical for a lot of these businesses because they don't know how to do this stuff, or they don't even know that this stuff is possible. So I wanted to show you guys that. I can show you guys inside of the system that I have for doing this, just so you can see it. Like I said, I didn't want to go in the real account just because there's all the leads in there, but basically this is how it works. So, and like I said, this transcends any niche or industry. It's really if your business or the people you're helping, if their business makes money from getting customers on the phone and doing appointments with them, this will work. And you can actually design the bot to not book appointments either. That's the one that makes sense for my customers, but you can send them to a website or something like that. So it's all the same core functionality, right? Businesses, regardless of what they're doing it for, they need people to get followed up with, reminded what they do, and redirected back to the next step in the process. In this case, it's an appointment. In other cases, it could be going back to a website or whatever it may be. But this is basically how it works. So the cool part about it is clients can link any lead source they get. So whether they run ads, whether they do door knocking or cold calling, or they do word of mouth, whatever it is, you can plug any of these leads into a sequence like this. This is just text and email sequences right here. And it just continues to follow up with them. And then the way that I have it set up is where it will stop on response. So if somebody responds to the text or the email, then it'll just stop. And you can, if you don't want to do it that way, you can literally just unclick it. It's that easy. And then I just have certain, time frames that the system runs between, stuff like that. But it's a follow-up sequence, right, to get people that really, if you zoom out and apply this to any business, it's basically leads, right? People that are not actual customers yet. But you could do the same thing for customers, getting them to buy again, stuff like that. So this is more of like a lead follow-up sequence. And then really the engine is the GoHighLevel booking bot, okay? And so the way that works is the way I kind of describe it is like those follow-up sequences kind of poke the lead and get them to engage. And then once they engage, right, that's a whole other process as well. Because if you're following up with people and then they engage, right, in the middle of the night, or they engage after hours or something like that, guess what? If you don't have the bot in place, then you're going to be left manually responding, and then that takes hours, right, or days, and then leads don't actually convert. So you can plug this into your business, or like I said, if you're a digital marketer, plug this into a business, a system like this. They could have leads from any sources. They could do whatever they're doing already. You plug in something super simple like this, and I mean, they're going to get more conversions, and you don't even have to do or change any of their processes or anything. You just basically say, hey, the leads you're already getting, right? We're going to put them in this little incubator, and when they come out the other end, they're going to be conversations, live chats, right? Real people engaging in real time, or booked appointments, right? So it's really, really powerful. So the way this workflow hooks back up to the one I just showed you, is we have a trigger in here so that when a customer replies, then we trigger the bot. So you can see here it says customer replied. The cool thing about High Level is you can link in all these different channels. So I primarily deal with clients that are communicating with their leads over text message. But I know I have people that do WhatsApp. I have people that do Instagram. So you can do any one of these channels. So if somebody is, really big on Instagram, right, and you're helping them out, some of these people don't have this. You could help them out to where when they get those leads on Instagram, they get that phone number, because on Instagram, you can't follow up after a certain period of time unless you do it manually. Same with Facebook. So maybe there's someone who's getting leads on Facebook and Instagram Messenger, and they're getting these phone numbers, but guess what? They have a person they're paying to go in and follow up, or they're doing it themselves. And you go to them and say, hey, what if you still get your same leads, you still get the same exact thing you're already doing, but when once you get that person's phone number, instead of you having to manually follow up or pay these people to do it on Instagram, we set up this system, right, where it's just going to keep following up with them and getting them to that next step, right, which in this case is an appointment. So I have it for SMS, but you can do it for really anything, which is why I love using it this way. And so customer replied, and then I just have a condition here. So this is very easy to understand. So the condition is basically, okay, so we have when somebody replies, right? We already have that figured out. But in this case, I don't want to rebook appointments with leads that have already booked appointments, okay? You can get way more nuanced than this and do like they didn't book an appointment, but they have a tag. You could go like super crazy and get it really refined. But I like to have it very simple. If they've already booked an appointment, we don't want them going through the bot, okay? But you can custom design this as well. So that's how I have this set up. Last appointment at is empty. So that just basically means they have not booked an appointment, because when they do book an appointment, it will have a value here is what it's called. So it would be is not empty essentially. And so they reply, make sure they haven't booked an appointment, and then it goes into this bot. And then, like I said, this bot can be used for any type of business. And you can see you just link your calendar. This is all inside a High Level. And then you have your prompt here. And then this just basically, is specific for this type of business. But it's very simple. Like, these are all the questions that you saw the bot go through. So if you want to change this for a different business, just, use the same layout and then change it for that particular business. And then this is where I have the disqualifying criteria as well. So if you work with a plumber and, I don't know, this is just an example. You're helping a plumber out with this, and somebody says that their budget is $50 and the minimum job is like $200. You could put the question as, budget is less than $200 or not okay with it. You have to clarify that, but you can put it for any business. And then when the bot asks the question, hey, what's your budget for this project? And they say $50. And then we say we have a minimum $200 order. Is that something you're willing to do or no? And if they say no, you can just say, sorry, we're not going to book an appointment, right? You got to know your business or your client's business before you start over qualifying people, though. I've been doing this for 8 years, so I know that if it's listed, the majority of my clients aren't going to want to, deal with it. They may still entertain it, but it's not the objective of who we're actually targeting, right? Because they could just find listed properties on their own. So there's some slight value for the system I have, but it's not. It actually makes a difference to get these out of the way. And then you can see here it says maximum messages. So the way it currently works right now is you can send 25 messages, which is plenty. And this is basically within one kind of loop too. So if you removed the condition of people being able to go through the bot multiple times, then you could, theoretically people can do 10 conversations, 25 messages each, or however many, right? So it's super simple. Like, then you just choose the channel here, Facebook, Instagram, SMS, WhatsApp for the bot itself. You can see here I've got the wait time before responding. And then there's some other little things here, but really this is how I have mine set up. So that's a result here that we just got this morning, and clients super happy because they've been following up manually with leads, and I believe they have something else that they're doing, like they have a job or something, and so they're building out this on the side, I believe. And so this is just saving them an insane amount of time, right? And they can get leads from any which way they want. They can do, like I said, cold calling. They could do social media posts. They could do any sort of leads. They could run ads. They could buy leads from different companies, and all of those stream right back into this process. And so, we're just systematically converting these leads to that next step. So I wanted to share that with you guys. If you're interested in learning more about High Level, I've got a 30-day trial link down below. And I also have a link to my free community, so you can, join the conversation with other people that are doing this type of stuff. So yeah, hope this was valuable for you, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.